Okay, cool. So we're recording now, and we'll plan to make the recording public. And if anything gets said that shouldn't be public, then let me know, and we'll stop the recording right then and start another. And if we don't stop all the way through, then we'll make it public. Sound good?
Perfect. Yeah, you already know the speech.
That was
Every
very
time you
tight,
say the
wasn't it?
same. Yeah.
I need to go back and get that and make sure that was the one. There was no extra words in that one. That was great. Um, okay, cool. So yes, thank you for saying. So the other thing, again, I'm in the midst of apologizing to you for being so late today, because at around 3:30 or so, confirming for 5, but then these series of things started happening. And the last thing which I wanted to share, which is just so crazy, but there's two things let me share the situation and then I'll go from there. So I'm in Fort Myers now. I told you I was moving to Fort Myers, right? So I'm
Mm.
in Fort Myers now as of last night. We got in at like 3 in the morning last night.
Wow.
After moving all day with a U-Haul truck yesterday from my storage. So this
Mhm.
was my like infamous storage that has been, like the bane of my existence for so many years. I've been on this cycle. This is the crazy thing. I was thinking of it as I was at the storage place recently. I've been, in this place of financial challenge for so long that I've been in a place where I haven't been paying the monthly storage bill because I don't have the money to come up with it monthly. I've just been in a cycle where it accumulates for 3 or 4 months until it triggers. We're going to auction, your stuff if you don't pay us the full amount you owe by such and such date,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So that's the way it works, and it's unfathomable to me in my mind now, but because it's been every 3 or 4 months for 10 years for me, literally, it's literally 30 or 40 of those cycles where it's been almost every single one coming down to the wire. Like, how am I ever going to get this handled? And having that level of trauma really in my life, repeatedly
Wow.
over and over and over again. So it's really a very interesting recognition, right, on my part, that I've been creating like this self trauma at such a deep level, in all ways, just the whole life that I've been living in this, state of lack and challenge, right?
Mm.
So I imagine, in the infinite realm of possibilities, that there are all kinds of paths that I could have taken to arrive here without choosing, such a self-flogging technique, you know. But not only for myself, it's spilled into other people, in my life that are affected, and you're one of them, being a supporter in the ways that what you're able to support, and all of those things. It's I've felt until this moment in time, just because we went deep a little bit, and I appreciate you kind of letting me share about these things right now,
Yeah.
that it's felt over all these years that I've had like enough in order for people to get like what was formulating in my head, and we should, even though I'm not there yet, we should support it so we can get there, and we can hire people, and we can, you've kind of seen different iterations from Energetic Planet to Higher Vibe Life to Uniting for Action, the evolution of Uniting for Action, and so it's I've always felt like there is enough there that if I just share it, a cycle of support starts. But
Uh,
that's never been the case until now. It's been
uh,
failure after failure after failure after failure after failure, essentially, of being able to generate enough support to be able to, be sustained, basically, right?
yeah.
And so the the in this moment, well, is really since I created the idea of the nano action and understood that the nano action would become the fundamental building block of reality by
Yeah.
being able to take any action and breaking it down into all of those nano actions, as we've spoken about for the people who haven't heard this before, and be able to have not only, you know, any type of action defined with all the nano actions, but then have data of all the different types of paths that people took to get the same results, right? All the different types of nano actions. And that's where, as we're feeding all of that data in, and we can say, this one did it cheaper, and this one did it faster, and this one did it better, and you're turning the knobs to get what you want, you know, how much you're willing to pay for, how fast you want it, all of those things, right? So you're getting that level because it's systematized, right? When it's not systematized, we don't have any of that data, we can't collect any of that data, and we have no way of intelligently choosing, right?
Right.
So it's just such a fundamental concept of our reality, right? We know everything I just described is not beyond the realm of us doing, systematizing how we do things, right? I mean, Uniting for Action is providing a very, you know, simple solution that will evolve from here, right? But the idea is that we can, you know, create our reality together, and we can be able to, you know, use our intelligence to deal with the moment and all moments in the most intelligent way we can be, right?
Right.
I mean, you have to, when you look at our options side by side between choosing a path of systematizing things and having all the benefits that we get from that, or choosing to remain in this place where we're just dumb and we look things up and it's all random, and now we have AI to be able to try to, you know, group together all the randomness. It's like, no, until you have metrics that compare those differences, then you're just trying to guess at what is better. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
There has to be measurement. So I know I went off on a big tangent, but the point of what I just described is that piece is the key piece to make everything else work. You know what I mean?
Right.
All the other ideas that I have and all these other systems and all that sort of stuff, like that all becomes like almost like options. Now that we have how we systematize society, this is the thing to do. You get what I'm saying? Like this is the evolutionary leap. And I know you know it, you know, from our previous conversations and that sort of thing, but I'm just reiterating it in this moment because this is the lead in to, you know, my conversation with you now, right? And what you're going to do to start to create intentional evolution. And I've thought about it a little bit more, even just as I was showering. And that was the last thing I was going to say, to apologize, but, you know, I'm going to leave it out for now. But we're into some of it. So the intentional evolution, and we talked about this a little bit last time, but this is my latest thought on it. When you speak any thought into the world, whatever it is, right, in a way that we're recording it, right, in a way that other people can access it, right?
Yeah.
Like when you speak it to me, if I happen to say something to somebody else about it, then it has some life, right? Yeah. But if you or I don't take it anywhere, it's just there. It's just a shared thought between us, right? Like if we want it to go somewhere from that interaction, then where could it possibly go from there, right? And then when it went there, what could be the next step? And then when it went there, what could be the next step? Like we are so stuck on only the one step that we never get to experience all the next parts of the evolution of where it would go from there, right? Really what we can do is we can actually intentionally evolve around the thought that you make by putting it into the world in a way that you're sharing it. And now this person can say something and this person can say something, and you can start to pull all the people's thoughts, and you can start to have experts weigh in, and you can start to have a division of where people are aligning around some different thoughts of where to go from here. And each one of them can go off and start evolving that further, right? Like now it has a place in reality, where it has a group of supporters, they have collective resources, they have expert guided strategic plan, and they're going ahead and evolving in a certain direction that they visualized before, right?
Yeah.
And they're doing it there, and they're doing it there, and everybody is evolving in whatever direction they want to go around all of their thoughts, because they're connecting with all the other people that are in those same spaces, and we're collectively evolving together. You get what
Right.
I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're going from a society where all of us are almost entirely limited by the bounds of the first thought that we're sharing with people, because there's, you know, maybe somehow we can start to eke out some business or something that becomes a one-dimensional evolutionary path from there. You get what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Like, if we're evolving it consciously, we can only essentially keep evolving it where we're going, or until we hit a failure and then we turn around and we start going a different direction. But we're following usually one individual evolutionary path from there, right?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? But now, with the environment that we're creating, it's the multidimensional evolutionary path in all directions all at once, because you're tapped into where everybody else has been evolving this, and you can essentially swim from node to node to node. And that kind of gets back to where we were at last time, to just like go back again to the thought nodes, essentially. And we talked about the tagging and how it's not going to be two-dimensional. So again, when you have a certain thought and you're tagging it with certain, you know, whatever tags relate to it, or again, the AI is tagging it for you based on what you're talking about, you've got the entryway that you just came into that thought from whatever thought was tagged before it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now in your traversable thought map, you know, when someone lands on that previous thought, then they'll be able to see this thought as a connection to that thought, right? A next thought. And that past thought that you had in different conversations might have gone into some different direction, right? So you yourself, based on that tag, have, okay, here's the option of the next tags of where to go with your next thought based on this thought. You get what I'm saying? It's giving people a map of the landscape of all options and everything that everyone else has already experienced traveling every of those options. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Sounds pretty broad and big.
It's a very broad thing. It's a deep thing. I'm wondering if you're following it all, because it is important for the, you know, I need to tune into where you're at, what you're hearing, and what you're making of it all. And thank you for
Basically,
for listening for all of that as well.
what you're saying is that one idea leads to another one, that leads to another one, that leads to another one. Basically, it's like tags on Twitter, where you know you find something and then that's tagged to something else, and then that's tagged to something else.
Exactly. When you and I have our conversation just a little bit, where you share whatever it is that you want to create results around, you're just going to speak continuously, right? For the most part. For the most part, you've got a story in your head that you're going to share the story with me, and you've got certain notes about certain things that you want to make sure you touch on, or whatever it is. You're going to, in the way that you share it with me, you're going to travel from one thought to another to another to another. You're going to cover a whole bunch of different thoughts, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then each one of those thoughts, as much as they can be kind of contained into a thought, this is where we start to get into the nano thoughts, essentially, as well. And you and I haven't talked about it. And I'm not sure I'm going to be able to use, I don't think I can use actually nano thoughts. So I'm not sure what the term is going to be yet, but you get it from the idea of the nano actions. Breaking down a thought, you have a big general thought, like, you know, I want, you know, this thing to happen. I want, you know, this park to get cleaned up or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And then again, that thought can be broken down because two people can think that, but some people could think, well, the city needs to go and get it done. And some people could think, well, I need to organize a volunteer effort. And they're two totally different thoughts, right? And each of those thoughts lead to other different thoughts, right? So again, just like you're mapping actions in this kind of branched way, you're mapping thoughts in this kind of branched way as well, till again, you can get down to a discernible thought as much as you can. And this is where the AI really kicks in, because if we want to speak in real time and keep going to these new and different thoughts, the AI is processing whether there already exists, conversations from other people that have this same tag pattern, right? So, and at the same time that you're just speaking the tag pattern out of your mouth and your language, basically, the AI is in real time, as soon as we can, and I think this is very close, if not here already, in real time, giving you a heads up display of all of the metadata about the thought that you're having, right? So for anybody else that's landed on this tag, here's all the branches that they went off into. Now, do you have a new one that you're going to add to the tree, or do you want to start going down one of these others and see what other people said, or just go off, or just see what the pattern looks like of this percent went this way, this percent went this? You get what I'm saying? Like, there's all kinds of data available to you in real time for your real-time thoughts. That is a huge revolution for humanity, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So we're not, our thoughts, our whole way of thinking is about to be augmented by technology, because in real time, as we're speaking, we're going to have lots of different information about where we might want to take this based on what we care about and what we're seeing.
Exactly.
And so again, it becomes, again, a part of the intentional evolution, right? It becomes a part where by us systematizing our thoughts in this kind of way, now we have the ability to provide, again, all of this data and all of this metadata. And I want to make sure, because I don't know if I've defined it with you. Sometimes I do in recordings, but I want to make sure you understand what I say when I say metadata. So metadata, to me, and it's widely used this way, although it does have other usages.
Mm-hmm.
But metadata is data about data. Okay.
Data about data.
Data about data. Exactly. So the data, the original data in this case, are the thoughts that people are having and the tags that are getting applied to their thoughts. So that's the data that's getting generated for us by the video processing system, right?
Yeah.
So that's the data that we have. Then when we have all of that data collected and compared with all of the other data, and we can know what's the best and the fastest and all the things that we can know from doing calculations on the data, that's all metadata. That's not original data, but that's data, metadata that we derive from the data.
Okay.
Gotcha. Get what I'm saying? That's a really important concept. I'm glad we could cover that, because that is a big, 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 big part of the whole concept of what Uniting for Action is doing by systematizing things. More than anything, we're developing the capabilities to have metadata about everything. That's the thing, is we are devoid of metadata about all of these things because they're not systematized. So there's no way to get any kind of, gauge, measurement across any dimension, right? You need to have some consistent thing that you're measuring on in order to be able to have a reliable comparison in any way, right? So without having that for anything, we can't develop metadata, not reliable metadata. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the difference between having no metadata about anything to having all metadata about everything is kind of the one sentence that anybody should be able to get get what a big deal this is. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So thank you for letting me share all that and bringing it all the way back again to you and what you're doing here. You are, with every thought, creating the seed of the intentional evolution that you want to have for that thought. because what you're getting to do by us recording it and then tagging it and letting people find it, you know, when as they're thinking, right? As they want to access that tag that you've tagged, because that's what they're thinking, and now they see you there, right? And they see what you have to say. Now you're the opportunity for you to have the hold on a second, let me say this the way I want to say it. Okay, so as you take this thought, you start to host a conversation, basically, is what it comes down to, right? And this is technically something that I still have to program into the system. I guess I'll bring it up. Might as well. I don't even know if it's, yeah, it should work, but it's been so long actually since I've even gone into the system. But let me show you what how this is going to function in the system. And this is a relatively, I mean, when I say relatively simple coding job, it's because I've spent, you know, so many weeks and months already on the coding. But it's possible that adding in the whole thought part may take, let's see if I have it open. It may take like a week if I were to program it. So it's not really desirable for me to be on that at the moment, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see if I have to program it, or if by this time we can have, you know, somebody else doing the programming and all that thing. But basically, as you pull up one of your nano actions, then, oh, we're in the mission control view. So now I'm going to switch to the story view just to refresh you on where we're at with everything. So let me go back to, for people that don't know.
Can I take my camera off real quick while
Sure.
you talk, or do you want
Sure.
to me to be on camera?
No, it's totally cool. You can go off for a minute, no problem. As long as you're hearing what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm hearing you.
Okay, cool. Let me take a quick drink. Okay. So here we are at the mission control panel. And here's your nano actions. And so from the mission control panel, I'm just clicking on the nano action, which keeps me in the mission control panel because that's the view I'm on right now. But the view I want to show you is when we're in story view. So now we're about to switch to story view. This shows that we're in mission control view, and we do have the option to go to our nano action view and our edit view and our stories view. And I guess, again, just to refresh you, since we're now starting to get into all this for you, so just to refresh everything. When we go to the nano action view, this is the place where we can add nano actions underneath this nano action. So we click on the arm. I'm really not sure I'm enjoying the arm. I tried to make it, as I'll just show you really quickly, assembling the business accelerator team. So let's just say leader. So as we add this nano action, I really liked all the other hand icons to be able, this takes you and actually lets you switch this nano action to a different nano action, or even a different reality generating machine. So that starts to show, I have to develop that a little bit more. So this moves it, but I want to make it where you can also copy it, right? You can copy this nano action into some other reality generating machine that you're working on. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're absorbing that, because that's a kind of important concept for what we're doing with you. So this is the nano action that can move. And then, and we've added this in nano action. Now let's go to the edit view. We're still in assembling the business accelerator team. This is what the edit view looks like. So we can add the story and add the YouTube link and all the other options we have for this particular story nano action, but you know, kind of it's the same structure as for the stories. So we go ahead and, well, updating. So then then as we change here what we want in order to display on the story view is where, essentially the public is showing up, right? This is what they see when they follow a thought trail. Actually, I kind of knew it was going to do that, but anyway, we don't need to actually do the edit now. But here's the story view. I got to fix that thing. I've got to do a little bit of fixing up right now. But here is where the thoughts are. Okay. So this is a central function, the thoughts relative to the seeking, the connecting, and the supporting. Okay. And I'm even actually going to, I'm going to remove these 3 icons here because I think it's unnecessarily busy. So the function is duplicated here already anyways. That was a duplicate way to get at it. So I'm going to just go with this. So when you're seeking, you can do an offer to supporters, offer to connectors, or offer to other seekers, okay? And you're being the seeker. So this is where, again, today, what we're going to do with you is have you share the different things, well, that you're seeking, essentially. I mean, we're going to break it up into what you're seeking, right? Different things that you're seeking, different roles, different things you want to accomplish, whatever it is. And then, simultaneously, either right as you're saying it or some other later time, you want to, be able to define what your offer is to supporters that can provide what you're seeking, right? What you're willing to offer in exchange for it, or even just be soliciting, open offers, right? And that's part of the system as it'll evolve. You can either specify offers or like you can say, here's what I need, give me your best offer type of thing, right? And wait and see what all the best offers are that roll in for you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Either way, what you're doing is you're creating the mechanism to start to have the negotiation, right? And when you start to have the negotiation, that's what eventually leads you to the agreement, which again, it's only through having agreements with all the different nano actions that you can be able to accomplish what your reality generating machine is designed to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Or if you can't get agreements for all those nano actions, then you need to rebuild your reality generating machine with nano actions that you can get agreements for, right?
Yeah.
Somehow you have to build yourself a functional reality generating machine, or you're not going to create the reality that you say that you want. You get that?
Mhm.
Like if every machine is breaking down and you're never getting to the end goal, you're never getting there.
Right.
So that's where like we talked about in the past, it adds a real reality check, right? It's like you can get 99 nano actions out of your 100 nano action machine, but if you can't get that 100 nano action, then all the 99 might have been for naught,
Right. Exactly. I get that. Mm-hmm.
So it again, this is what helps you put those into the world. But then again, it's because of, let me go back. So you're here doing your best to get everything that you're seeking set up with agreements. And again, just to remind you, as we go back to the mission control view, I've made it even easier, right? Automated, just to remind you. So here's the leader that we want now. So here we go. How can we increase our score? So we click on that and it brings us to this page. And congratulations, you now have a 1 because you've identified a nano action. Okay. But identifying it does, well, you need to do it in order to accomplish it, but you're at still a very basic level. You've only identified it, right? The first thing that you want to do is you want to either post what you're seeking or what you're supporting, right? You need to like share with people Like, here's the nano action, and this is what I'm looking for, right?
Yeah.
I need someone that can do it this way, and on this time frame and with this budget. Like, if you don't specify it, then you're opening yourself up for sorting through a whole bunch of data that doesn't meet the criteria that you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
So you have to specify what it is that you're looking for, or specify what you're offering to the world again, so that people will find you and match up with you. So that brings you to a score of 2. At least now you're in the game, And then next is, that you've posted what connectors you're looking for, because as you know, but for the people that haven't seen this, you not only want to be the only eyeballs out there, connecting with your network about whether, anybody in your network knows what, a supporter that can provide what you're seeking, but you would love for, those people to be able to reach in. Well, I said it wrong to begin with. That somebody that can provide. You not only want to see if you know somebody that can provide, that can be a supporter for what you're seeking, but you also want to allow all of those people, everyone in your network, to be able to connect you with somebody that you're seeking, because that multiplies your prospect pool by, all of your friends essentially, and how popular they are and how influential they are and all of that, right? But
Exactly.
but it's through the concept of using connectors that you are like infinitely expanding how quickly what you're seeking will flow to you, because you're creating all of these channels through which it can flow, right? When none of those people know what you're looking for, you don't have a whole mission control panel for them to know all the things you're looking for. What do they know to send to you? Right? And that's for everybody. So again, this is a huge conceptual shift that way. And oh, by the way, one second. We are also making it a requirement within the system that there are no longer two-party transactions with just the buyer and the seller in the system. That's extinct now within the system, because we've evolved to a new standard, which is that there is always a connector in the middle. Somebody is always benefiting from every relationship that's happening. And by making that an institutional requirement, so to speak, it makes it so that everyone is always incentivized to support everyone else, because everyone is financially incentivized to do it. You get what I'm saying? Like, that becomes our whole new consciousness. Like, you would be going against what you're being incentivized to do if you weren't, at least for some people in your life, doing something to support them, to be able to connect them with that they're looking. You get what I'm saying? Like, we're like that. I'm not going to go into it more, and I will obviously in the books and everything. You've heard it from a lot of different angles, but I just want to emphasize in this moment, as we're talking about it, what a big deal it is to post something for connectors, because it starts to really multiply your ability to be able to bring it to you. If you don't already have access to it within your existing channels. But essentially what it does is it gives you a much broader range of opportunities, right? Again, this is where it gets down to, like, even when you find, some individual that can provide what you want, that's just one option. You'd really like to have several options to choose from and be able to see which one's higher quality, which one's faster, which one's, you know what I mean? Like, you only get one option when you only get one match. You really want to get a lot of matches, and then you really, from those matches, want to initiate a negotiation with some certain number that you feel will likely get you the outcome that you're looking for, right?
Right.
So again, stepping back, I want to say, just, as I'm pausing for a second, hold on a second. Okay, let me just keep going on this train of thought. So with the outcomes, that you're looking for, you've got these different, well, one, by creating offers, let me go back in here. We're going to come back to this in a little bit, but again, just as a quick summary, you got the connectors, then you do the offer to the seekers or the supporters, then you make an offer to a connector. These are the ways that you're increasing your score because you're getting yourself closer and closer to having a number of matches from which to choose from, and then have negotiations with a number of those, right? If you're not doing these steps, then it's becoming very challenging for you to develop, potentially, depending upon how big your network is or whatever. But it's potentially challenging for you to have enough pool at the end of the query that you're looking for if you're not implementing, making offers to seekers and offers to connectors. And then you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then also, again, this is where you get to choose. So you make the offers to the seekers, you've made the offers to the connectors, you're now up to a 5. You've begun a negotiation with a seeker, a supporter, or connector. So now you're starting to, at least have a chance to have an agreement. Then you've begun a negotiation like with another. So if you are seeking someone, you've begun a negotiation with a supporter, you're at a 6. Then when you also begun a negotiation with a connector, you're now at a 7, right? So you're getting both groups covered. So now you're another step ahead. So then here's where you reach your target. You set this, you set what your target is going to be, from the beginning, essentially, is how many numbers of offers do you want to receive that you think will be sufficient to give you the pool that you're looking for the number of negotiations that you think you want to enter into in order to reach a final agreement with somebody. You get what I'm saying? And especially as, you want to have, a number of options in your negotiations, and that means you need to receive even more offers, and get to that point in order to be able to, whittle down to the ones you're negotiating with, to whittle down to your agreement, right? But again, the point of all of this is just to remind you and show people that haven't seen that this, and then finally you've reached your agreement, right? And you're at a 10. And when you reach the 10, then that nano action gets completed within the reality generating machine. And so again, just to remind you, like knowing that every nano action is worth a 10, we talked about this a while back, every nano action is worth a 10, and every reality generating machine, shows you how many nano actions you need to accomplish in order to fulfill the machine. You've got a certain top score, that you need to get to complete the machine, and you've got a certain score of where you're at right now and how many 10s you've reached, right?
I see. Okay. Yeah.
And you can even break it down, not just total score, because you'll have 2 5s, and that's not the same as having 1 10, right? If you have a total score for the whole reality generating, you'll also see how many nano actions out of, how many you've completed. So you'll have like a percent complete of your machine, right? And while we're on this, Pat, any questions about what I'm saying? Because I'm about to add to it. So again, just to remind you, your ability to create reality is apparent by your score, right? What are the reality generating machines that you're taking on? So again, let's just imagine that you're a very wealthy individual, right? And that you have all of these, things that you want done in the world, and you're willing to put whatever money it takes to get them done, right? So you're just paying to get that done. You're paying to get yes to that reality generating machine, yes to that reality generating, and then it's getting executed, at quality, at whatever, luxury quality, somebody that can afford to do all of those things, right? And so they are actually creating, way more reality than somebody that's not creating all of those nano actions, right? But then again, look at it this way, is that you can have an influencer that has 100 million followers, and they can say, I really want this to happen in the world, and they just declare their, intention that they want to see alive in their world, and all of their fans just start getting to work self-organizing, breaking it down into all the nano actions that need to be accomplished, and then just plugging themselves in to accomplish it. And that influencer has just created a whole lot more reality than most people, but didn't have to pay anything for it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's, just an example of, there is a scale of how much reality creation you as an individual are accomplishing, right? And also in specific places. Can you hold on a second? I want to see if there's a sound coming, and I want to see if I can get rid of it. So part of the reason that I'm saying that about, like there is, like, we have these measurements on how much reality we're creating and how much reality we're creating in certain areas, right? Like if you want to get paid to be responsible for certain things, I need to share this concept with you because I don't think you and I have ever talked about it, and it's an important distinction here so that we can work it in, to everything you're doing and everything, is that so a nano action can be broken down and broken down and broken down, all of that, right? But really, you as a seeker, you would really rather manage one person, or 5 people, but oftentimes just one person, right? And deal with that one person rather than you being responsible for having to manage 100 relationships and do, all of that. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
you want others to create your reality for you. You don't want to have to do all the nobody wants to have to do all the legwork for it. They just want it to be done, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So really the idea again here is the delegation,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because like on the top level, you can imagine that some influential person or person with resources just has one person that's the only person they have to communicate their thoughts, to. And then that person makes sure that they're dealing with the finance people and they're dealing with this people and they're can imagine it an organizational structure, and the people that they're communicating to are at the top of the organizational structure, and then it's all being delegated down from there, right? But where that delegation happens is a very interesting concept within the Uniting for Action system, because whoever is assuming the responsibility is still going to delegate it further, right? They're not going to do it all themselves in most cases. Again, at the top of this organizational tree, they're not going to be responsible they're going to delegate, this to these people and this to these people and this to these people, right? And then those people are going to have, managers. I mean, there's all kinds of levels. You get what I mean? It's not like a flat system where there's like one person managing the 1,000 nano actions that this thing takes, right? There's one person that's managing the video aspect, right? And they are being responsible for the video aspect. Everything under video falls under them. They're responsible for that part. And here's the 300 nano actions that they are responsible for. But they're not doing those 300 nano actions, right? They're just taking responsibility because they are the ones that have the quality control mechanism built into their system, that if they can't do it one way, they're going to do it another way, but they're going to get it done because that's what they build their reputation on. That's what their business is built on, that they can deliver that to you as a client. And as a client, you don't want to monkey around with trying to cobble it all together yourself. You want to say, or you do, and you pay less and you do that. But you get what I'm saying? That is the very interesting part. One of the very interesting parts in my mind that I've kind of noticed is that once you declare a reality generating machine, there's a wide range. Now that you've declared it all, one person could show up and say, I will manage this for you. And then it all goes from there, right? And then you could have other people that could be showing up and saying, well, I could do this one nano action for you. And somebody else saying, well, I could do these other, 5 things for you. Again, that's like the ultimate, cobble together, right? that you are essentially flat managing all of the nano actions as individuals are showing up saying that they can cover different aspects of it. You get what I'm saying?
So how is this different than a project management software? Seems like it's very similar, but I am sure there's something that, I mean, the concept itself is different, but a lot of the mechanism that you're using is like a project management software, no?
Yes, exactly. So here's the thing. There's not going to be anything, you know, we're not going to reinvent the wheel around anything, right? What we're doing, and this part of it, it's really good that you said that, because this is, to me, the most golden opportunity available for outside firms, essentially, or the world at this point, is that I've really gone deep into a lot of different systems, as you've seen, a lot of different concepts in the whole 10 volumes. But I personally have not dove deep into the project management part of this, which is so central to the whole workings of this, right? But what I've done is kind of known that that part is handled, because the whole world has a whole realm of tools and support for project management, right?
Yeah.
So we're just plugging the best of what's out there into everything else that I'm sharing with you. And all of the top project management, entities in the world will be collaborating and contributing, because they want to be the ones that everyone is using within the Uniting for Action system, right? There'll all be APIs and apps. And that's the thing, is like when we go back, let's go back really quickly. So when we go back to the mission control view, so we've got the, I need to come up to this one. Okay. So when we've got the mission control view of the leader nano action underneath this nano action, not only do we have the app that we just looked at where you can increase your score, and that's just one app, right? Anybody could come up with a different way of doing it, of applying the score. So that is, again, just to share, that app that you just looked at is not just an app, but it's also a framework for an app, right? So I'm creating it to where anybody can put whatever they want as deciding the scale. What's a 1 for you? What's a 2 for you? What's a 3 for you, right? And then that's your scale. And then you're applying that scale against, the nano actions of the stories, right? So this is your own custom scoring system that you're creating, right?
Yes.
And as you're creating it for yourself, as you're willing to offer it to others, then that's essentially just an app that's getting plugged into the scoring app, right? Or a skin within the scoring app world, so to speak, right? But there can be different types of scores too, not just a 1 to 10, but a true or false, or a good or bad, or yes, no, maybe, right? There's all kinds of different ways of evaluating things in a different dimension than just scores of 1 to 10. You get what I'm saying? So now that's like, how many set different ways can you evaluate data? You can do it like in a 1 to 10. You can do it in a 1 to whatever is one way. You can have like a true false as another way. You can have like a yes, no, maybe as another way. Like, what is the smallest number of ways that you can evaluate things? And then that becomes your skin, essentially, right? That you're applying to your data however you choose to. And you're creating your own scoring system, right? But again, just the idea of it, when you share it with others, if they want to start using your scoring system, now you actually have an app, because now not only are you scoring it the way that you want to score it, but now others are either scoring it or interpreting it that way, or using your app essentially, and they are, if you want, contributing to the collective metadata again around that information. You get what I'm saying? So this is where, again, yeah. So I'll repeat that. So this is where, because you've opened it up and made it an app, and now other people are scoring their own things using your scoring system. It's not just a here's Emiliano's scores. It's like, here's a whole set of scores from a whole set of people that we can run all kinds of different queries on to find maximum, minimums, comparison, how it matches with their geography, with their psychology, with their gender, with anything. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
it gives us again, it unlocks the world of metadata. So
Yeah,
that's
very interesting.
so again, it comes back to the metadata. It comes back to the ability. And again, I'm not saying that like project management tools don't have metadata. There's tons of metadata around project management tools, but now they're going to get to start to integrate with these
Yeah.
concepts around all the nano actions and start to have project management evolve with the concept of all of this metadata that we're creating, because it still doesn't exist in the world. It exists some, but it's not ingrained within the project management space, that if you have any kind of project that you can conceptualize, like, here's all the metadata available. There's just no way to collect it now, right? Because there's no incentive for people to collect it and share it, right? That's kind of part of the whole catch-22 of all this. But you get it. And then getting back to what I was just saying, just to close this thoughts, so we can go on to some others. So there's the one app that's here already that we clicked on, but here's all the other apps that you've loaded into your mission control, just like apps on your phone, right? So we just used a very, very basic app example of a scoring system, right? And a certain type of scoring that's being done. And you can have a bunch of different scores on your app, a different app. Show me, this app, and show me this app, but not just scoring systems. Again, in this case, we have the mission control, the nano actions, editing the actions, and seeing the stories. I want people to get the sense, essentially, those are apps, that are built on data and show the data and display the data in different ways. So again, not to show people just that we're building apps, but that we're building a framework that anybody can build any apps. You know what I'm saying? And that's what allows, again, all of these best practices to show up. And that's why, whatever the best project management tools are, so use like Slack, you've seen as an example, not that it's project management so much, but just using that as an example, all the different APIs that they have with all the different types of apps that they integrate with. And so again, it's very similar in this case. But listen, in the Uniting for Action world, Slack is going to want to maintain its position of market dominance in the Uniting for Action system as much as they do outside of the Uniting for Action system. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So they are very incentivized to develop this. That's the thing. And that's where we're going with the conversation, is I'm getting closer and closer and closer to just lay it all out and say, Google, let's have a conversation about you guys taking a very big lead role in creating this reality. Microsoft, Oracle, Facebook, whoever the TikTok, whoever the most can be the biggest strategic partners in bringing all of this into the world as quickly as possible. Like, this gives them the opportunity to be where people show up. You get what I'm saying? Like, in a similar sort of way that Mark Zuckerberg wanted to, I don't want to say own the metaverse, but wanted Facebook to be there and be established before everyone else. So Facebook, would essentially own the metaverse. You get what I'm saying? Like this whole, and I've got to come up with the term for it so it's as catchy as the metaverse. But this whole systemization, maybe this is it, systematization sphere that we're creating, this realm of systematization that we are, introducing the world to and becoming the standard just because of what it provides, just because we can do it. Again, it's ludicrous to turn our back on it when we have the capability and we understand what we can do. And so there will be people that will be in avoidance and denial and all that, which is totally fine. But there will be people that are in an empowered space that will get it and will want to make sure that they are, again, just as visible in this new realm as they've been in the old realm, right? If this is the new realm and they get it, hell, let's build this thing. You know what I mean? But that's
Yeah.
where, again, the distinction is, and it's important to say now, and I know you know it. That's where, the distinction is in the old paradigm of our world, there would be a concern on my part of sharing all of this with Google and letting them take the ideas and run with it and leave Uniting for Action behind and leave, oh, it could have been us, but it was Google instead type of thing. You know what I mean? Because fundamental to the concept of Uniting for Action, I forget if we talked about this, but it's important that we're saying this. I'm making the portal of joining Uniting for Action being the statement. I think I sent it to you, but anyways, it's that people pledge to provide fair value in exchange for any value they receive. Okay, so anybody that's not doing that, in this example, for example, if a Google would take the ideas and not exchange fair value, if they're opting out of being in the Uniting for Action system, it's like, no, we'd rather take your value and use it rather than see the value and return it to you by being a part of this system and helping create it, then there's only so long that choice to essentially diss the collective will be acceptable to the collective anymore in the future. You get what I mean? They're going, and they get to ponder that. Everybody gets to ponder that and see whether it's more worth it to take people's ideas and try to operate outside of what the collective is agreeing to create together and have some profitable business of other people that are opting out or whatever. But the idea is that is an assault essentially against the collective, because every time that people go against the collective at the expense of the collective is essentially why we're in such a mess in the world right now, because we have all of these corporations that have been choosing to make choices that were not in alignment with the best for the collective, but was profitable for them nonetheless, right? There were enough people that were willing to pay them to, send coal ash down this river, for 20 years because, it was within the limits, even though, all these people got poisoned in their water or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Like there's all these, like, I'm not going to go too deep now, but I am, just so you know, I am making it intentionally building out a page of some really bad stuff that's happening in the world right now. Like, as an example, just a couple quick examples, that we are, each one of us are inhaling and or ingesting a credit card's worth of plastic into our body every single week. Did you know that? Can you even fathom that every single week, like we're like eating a credit card or inhaling a credit card, there's that much microplastic floating in the air around us?
Yeah, that's
Did
crazy.
You know that? What's that?
It's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's just one example, but also just another quick example. Again, this is important because I am putting a focus on this with Uniting for Action, so I want you to be aware of that. Is that the rainwater anywhere on the entire planet at this point is considered toxic based on toxicity standards for cancer-causing chemicals. Okay, no matter where you live on the entire earth, if you drink the rainwater or let the rainwater fall on your head or let it feed your food that you're growing, supposedly organic now, even though there's enough forever chemicals in the rainwater that it is considered a cancer-causing ingredient to your body.
Damn. Yeah, that's crazy.
So, again, we have made our entire planet a toxic dump at this point that is killing us at a rapid rate, just with those two examples of plastic and forever chemicals. And there's way, 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 way more, ways that we're basically doing self-harm to ourselves. You get that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's self-harm from a collective perspective, right? Some people, some businesses, some whatever are willing to do the harm, but that it from a whole, when it's a collective, that is the self harming the self.
Yeah.
And what it is it means that all the rest of us that are in a place where we're not doing self-harm are not able to engage with those that are sufficiently to be able to stop the self-harm. And that's where we find ourselves in as a planet right now, is we have no mechanism of stopping the self-harm that we're doing to ourselves as a whole collective. And when you have a mechanism where you're systematically poisoning the entire planet and all life on it and cutting it down and burning it, doing all of these things, and there's no mechanism in place to be able to slow it down or stop it, like we haven't found an emergency brake to pull, like one doesn't exist, that there's only one place that leads, and very rapidly. Do you get what I'm saying? like
Yeah.
like I'm actually beginning to make what I just shared part of the Uniting for Action conversation. We talked about it a little bit last time, but I'm getting clearer and clearer, because I am very committed to this platform being available to everyone in the world. It will always be there will, except for people that are doing illegal things. Let me make that clear. Anything that is illegal, wherever it is illegal, will be restricted or whatever. Uniting for Action will not be a platform to allow illegal activity to. As I'm saying that, I'm not even sure how we're going to deal with that, but I just want to go in the other direction and say, in general, except for the things that are harmful, anybody can use the system to do whatever, to do whatever they want with it. It's just whether other people choose to support those people or not. You get what I'm saying? Like all of that just gets evaluated along with all the other stuff that's in the system. And having said that, like we talked about last time when I said that, as a business, every business has to make choices about, who they're supporting and what their supply chain looks like and where the dollars go as it goes down the line, right? And that's where, again, Uniting for Action is taking a stand that Uniting for Action is for self-preservation. And that is the one like guiding factor. Because people can argue against it, but that is the self-harm, basically. You get what I'm saying? Like anybody that is saying self-preservation is too political, it's too whatever anybody could say, because people say everything about everything. Whatever people could say about self-preservation being an inappropriate stand for Uniting for Action to be taking just becomes a mirror for them and the people around them to see the place that they are taking a stand for self-harm, essentially, right? And that's essentially what there is for us to do as a society. And we will very quickly, there will very quickly be kind of this almost black or white, but gray, but it's the same way with all issues in the world. But you will have people that are a very big stand for self-preservation, and you'll have people that are in a lot of resistance and a lot of thought patterns and a lot of whatever that aren't, that's not that they're not for self-preservation, but they don't think that, weaning off of fossil fuels, as an example, is something that falls within the category of self-preservation. You get what I'm saying? That's where it can start to be like, I am self-preserving, but I don't need to give up my oil to self-preserve. We can take a different path towards self-preserve. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, quick question. Quick thing. I have to leave in a few minutes, so there's a store I have to be at. and they're closing.
I,
Um,
I'm so sorry that we haven't gotten to what we were supposed to do. And I was going to
okay,
say,
I think this is great because I understood the idea, and I don't mind that we didn't do it. It's fine.
I appreciate that. And let me just say, and we'll see what we can do now or how we want to wrap this up.
Yeah.
But part of the reason again that I'm going into depth with you in these different areas is because it's really important with the ways that if you want to keep going, as I believe you do, you are one of the very few people who are getting very individualized attention from me to create your realities. And we are going to keep evolving with your realities through this process to create what you want in the world, but also to make you super visible to the world about the realities that you're creating, because
Okay.
you are going to be one of the very few telling you I want to do it as little as possible personally because I've got other things I have to focus on. So if you and
Yeah,
I
I mean, if this is gonna be like a case study for you, then I understand. And
and not only that, but it's really important for you to know all these different parts to make sure that you're in alignment with all that's going on here so that you know that what you're aligning with the visibility that you're taking, the implicit endorsement, so to speak, of uniting for action by you being in the role that you are. I especially, as it relates to this essentially new kind of stance that we're for self-preservation. And really, I still have to figure out, because I want the most, um, harsh, let's say, for lack of a better term, language to for sure come from Jared. Like I have a hard time once I start to get into the whole self-preservation thing to find where the line is between using Uniting for Action's voice, which is not inflammatory for sure, and Jared's voice, which is inflammatory essentially, or can be. So there's a lot of nuance there that I'm still trying to work out, but I want to at least make sure I get across to you that, this conversation is part of Uniting for Action now, because I feel like the self-preservation is the most pure North Star that Uniting for Action can use with all people, because we're showing up to support you surviving. We're showing up to support you in your individual and your collective self living and being preserved and being able to keep living in harmony with this planet. And we all need to come into alignment around that. Otherwise, every time there's any self-harm happening, then it can bring the whole organization down. And it is so far. You get what I'm saying? And
I
so I
hear
just want to make sure you're getting all of that and you're agreeing to all of that, because essentially people, when they don't have to agree that Uniting for Action is taking that stand, but they have to know Uniting for Action is taking that stand when they decide to be a member and they decide to be a supporter and they decide to put revenue and resources into Uniting for Action. You get what I'm saying? Like we have to be really upfront with that message. That's why I've been trying to get this messaging down. That's why it's changed, because I've been becoming aware, as I shared with you, that we can't be neutral, because we have to make choices organizationally between who we work with and all of those sorts of things.
I hear you.
It's a
Well,
balance.
I appreciate you saying that, and so far I like the vision. I like what you're doing. So I can we can talk more about it. I do have to go because otherwise it's gonna close.
Okay, yes, I want you to go. I apologize for continuing. So
No, no, no. Well,
let's
let's talk. Let's touch base to schedule another call and actually get this done.
yes,
But this was a really great call, and if you can send me the recording so I can hear again what you said, I think that'd be good.
of course. We can make this public, right? Because I will put it up public
Yeah,
right after this.
yeah, you said yeah. That's
Awesome.
fine.
Great to be with you, brother. I really appreciate you. I've gone to this step with you because I want you to be there with this, and now we can be, and I'll let you go, and we'll talk very soon.
Thank you, bro. I'll
Yeah,
talk
love
to
you,
you
bro.
soon.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.